All right, so are you ready to dive in?
Oh, always ready for a good deep dive.
Because today we're tackling Project Mugen,
Yeah.
which, for anyone who, maybe missed the memo, it's that urban open world gotcha game
Hmm.
that kind of just blew up online last year.
Yeah, it did, didn't it?
And then, well,
Pretty much.
and you've been sending me tons of stuff about it,
I have.
like a bunch of articles and forum posts and everything.
I'm really curious about it too.
Me too, especially with,
Yeah.
with some other games that are kind of in that same vein popping up.
Yeah, the competition's heating up for sure.
So I'm really curious, like, what is going on with Naked Rain, the devs?
Right, like why so quiet?
Why the radio silence?
Well, if you look back at how they launched this thing, it's almost textbook.
Like, that initial hype was insane.
Oh, it was phenomenal.
That August 2023 trailer.
GameSpot, right.
Yeah, GameSpot alone.
1.7 million views.
1.7 million.
And that's just one platform?
It's crazy.
They tapped into something, that's for sure.
Yeah, like a real hunger for this kind of game.
For sure.
But, like you're saying before,
Well, hype's a double-edged sword.
it is.
It can be a fantastic launch pad,
Yeah.
get you all this attention, all these pre-registrations, but it can backfire
If you don't,
if you can't live up to it.
you don't deliver.
All those expectations, they can turn on you.
They totally can.
And we've seen it happen before
Too many times.
with so many games.
So it's like, did they bite off more than they can chew?
That's what we're trying to figure out, right?
Exactly. And I mean, right from the get-go, people were like, oh, it's a Spider-Man clone.
Oh, the comparisons were flying.
They were.
But then again, that's a good thing, right?
I mean, in a way, yeah.
You're getting compared to one of the most successful open-world games out there.
And that just shows there's interest.
Exactly.
And then the pre-registration numbers.
Over 5.7 million.
5.7 million.
It's insane.
That's a whole lot of people saying, we want this game.
It's not just hype at that point. It's a statement,
It is.
a demand.
Yeah, but then in September, they gave us a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, right?
A little taste.
Some early gameplay.
Yeah, just a snippet.
Just a little bit. I remember, I don't know if you remember this.
What, the
Pet the cats detail.
Oh, yeah.
That stood out to me.
I think they knew what they were doing there.
I think so too.
Little things like that. They're
Yeah.
not
It's
accidents.
those little touches.
It shows personality. It shows they're paying attention to what players like.
And it starts building that community early on.
Exactly.
But then, like you said,
Well, things got a little
things went quiet.
vague.
Yeah.
And it's not just that they went silent, but
Oh.
it's the interviews they did between September and October of 2023.
Yeah, with places like IGN and GameSpot.
They were so tight-lipped
So tight-lipped
about everything.
about everything.
Like they were holding on to a state secret
Oh, yeah.
release date monetization strategy.
Shrouded in mystery.
And that's where I started to get a little uneasy.
You too?
Because, look, I get it. It's common for devs to play their cards close to the chest.
Right, build the anticipation.
Keep people guessing.
But there's a fine line.
There is.
Too much mystery, especially with a gotcha game.
Especially when it comes to how much this is going to cost players.
Exactly, because that's a big factor for people.
It is. And that initial excitement,
Yeah.
it can sour pretty quickly.
And turn into suspicion.
It can.
Like, are they hiding something?
Are they being deliberately evasive?
Or were they just not ready to commit to anything yet?
Or maybe, just maybe, they didn't have the answers themselves.
Maybe they were still figuring things out.
It's possible.
That's a good point.
And then
The real head-scratcher,
the silence.
October 2023 to February 2024.
Like nothing vanished.
It's like they fell off the face of the earth.
Which, I mean, I guess, to be fair,
It does happen.
sometimes you have that big marketing push.
Right, you get all that hype.
And then it's heads down, get the game made.
That's the priority.
Focus on development.
But with Project Mugen, it just felt different.
It dragged on.
It did.
And in a genre like gacha, where new games are popping up all the time,
Constantly.
that silence is dangerous.
It is. You got to keep those players engaged somehow.
Give them something. Anything.
Anything.
Just a little breadcrumb to keep them on the hook.
Right, and they did come back,
Well, briefly,
very briefly,
February 2024.
with some Chinese New Year art.
But that's it.
But no news, no updates.
Just a pretty picture.
Like showing up to a party empty-handed.
Exactly. Like, come on, guys, throw us a bone here.
At least say, hey, we're still working on it.
Something.
But nothing, just more silence.
Yeah, they really let that momentum slip away.
They did, and then June 2024,
Yes.
things got weird.
A little strange.
A little strange. Yeah, there were all these reports of
Mysterious Discord interviews.
Yeah. It's conducted by...
Project Mugen mods.
Yeah, and it was all hush-hush.
Super secret.
And the community was going crazy with speculation.
I mean, what was that all about?
It was so bizarre.
Well, if you think about it from a development standpoint,
Right.
conducting interviews in multiple languages on Discord,
Right.
that sounds a lot like localization prep.
Translation testing.
All that behind-the-scenes stuff.
So maybe not silence, just stealth mode.
It's progress, just not the kind that generates headlines.
Interesting. But then...
From June 2024 to now.
Back to the quiet zone.
Pretty much.
A few unconfirmed leaks here and there.
Trickling out of those Chinese forums.
Which is always interesting.
It is. Always keeping us on our toes.
But then...
To add fuel to the fire...
A rival appears.
NTE.
Another urban gacha game.
And I gotta say, it's looking pretty good. From what they've shown.
It's definitely drawing those comparisons.
This is Project Mugen.
For sure.
So now, Naked Rain isn't just battling the clock.
They've got a contender.
Vying for that same audience.
And NTE's playing it very differently.
They are.
Public demos, lots of gameplay reveals.
Building that hype machine.
It's smart.
It is, and it's putting the pressure on Naked Rain.
Oh yeah, it's like a game of chicken now.
Who's gonna flinch first?
Who's gonna show their hand?
And then...
August 2024.
The Shanghai event.
A fan event.
Chance to meet the devs, maybe even get recruited.
It's another piece of the puzzle.
But what does it tell us?
That's the question.
Is it genuine community outreach?
Or a recruitment drive.
Signaling they're ramping up development.
Or a PR move to reassure everyone they're still alive.
It's hard to say for sure.
It really is.
But everything they do now is under a microscope.
Every little thing is going to be scrutinized.
And we can't ignore the elephant in the room.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about NetEase.
Naked Rain's parent company.
Some of the stuff you sent me, those forum posts, people are worried.
NetEase's track record with some games.
It's not exactly spotless.
It's not, and I think it's important to acknowledge those concerns.
Let's also not jump to conclusions.
Exactly. We need to be cautious, but also fair.
How Naked Rain operates within that structure.
How much autonomy they have.
Those are big questions.
And we don't have the answers yet?
It just adds another layer of intrigue to this whole saga.
It does.
So we've got a wild ride so far.
Hype, silence, cryptic moves.
It's like a roller coaster.
But what does it all mean?
That's what we're going to try to unpack
in the next part of our deep dive.
So stick around. We'll be right back.
This whole thing with Project Mugen.
It is fascinating.
It really is.
This dance between...
Streaking all this buzz and then going dark.
Going silent.
It's like they're trying to...
I know.
Orchestrate it.
Yeah, control the flow of information.
In a very calculated way.
Yeah, very carefully.
Very meticulous.
Like a high-wire act.
Yeah, exactly.
On one hand, you've got this game that seems...
ambitious?
Super ambitious.
Wow, that's the word.
And it's taking...
It's time.
Yeah, it's really taking its time.
A long time.
And on the other hand, you've got fans who are...
fancy.
Yeah, a little restless.
Understandably so.
But maybe...
that's not a bad thing.
That's the question, isn't it?
It is.
Does a long silence ultimately hurt more than it helps?
Because we've all been there.
We have.
You see a trailer, you get hyped.
Oh, yeah.
And then you want the game.
Like yesterday.
You want it yesterday.
Exactly.
But rushing a release can be...
disastrous.
The disaster.
A total disaster.
Like game-breaking.
Exactly. I mean, there's that saying.
What is it?
A delayed game can eventually be good.
Yeah.
But a rushed game...
is forever bad.
Is forever bad.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
so dreamy.
Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, don't even get me started.
That's a prime example.
That game needed so much more time.
It did.
They rushed it out the door.
And it shows. It really does.
And the thing is, with gacha games...
especially the ones with open world elements.
Like Project Mugen is promising.
Yeah, you're not just...
you're building a world.
Exactly.
You're creating a whole ecosystem.
Yeah, the world has to feel alive.
It does.
The characters...
they have to resonate with players.
they have to.
They can't just be generic.
Yeah, and the gameplay loop.
Oh, that's crucial.
Has to be good.
It has to keep players engaged.
For months.
Even years.
Yeah.
That's the goal, right?
It is, and let's not forget the gacha system itself.
Oh, right.
I mean, it's not just...
a monetization method.
yeah, it's woven into the fabric of the game.
It is. It's integral.
And getting that balance right.
Oh, it's so tricky.
Between being rewarding...
yeah.
for the players.
And profitable.
Well, the developers.
It's like walking a tightrope.
It really is.
And maybe that's what Naked Rain is grappling with.
Maybe.
Maybe that's why they're so quiet.
What if they're...
iterating.
yeah, iterating on the gacha system.
Trying to find that sweet spot.
That makes sense.
It does, doesn't it?
It does. What if all this silence?
Yeah. Is actually a good thing.
It could be.
What if it means they're being
Meticulous.
meticulous?
Yeah. They don't want to compromise.
They set a high bar with that first trailer.
It did.
And people are expecting a lot
A lot.
for Project Mugen.
And those expectations are only amplified by
Yeah.
the emergence of...
NTE.
Exactly.
NTE.
Competition is a good thing.
It can be.
It can really push you to be better,
To innovate.
to refine your ideas.
Yeah, to make sure you're offering something truly unique.
And that's what Project Mugen needs.
They've got to stand out.
They do.
Especially now.
Because NTE is out there.
Making waves.
They are. They're showing what's possible
In
the urban gotcha space.
Yeah, in the urban gotcha space.
And they're doing it their way.
They are.
Lots of transparency.
Yeah.
Early access, community involvement.
It's like two different approaches
It is.
to the same goal.
The same genre.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to watch.
It really is. It's like a high-stakes poker game.
It-
NTE showing their cards.
Yeah.
Betting big on transparency and early engagement.
And naked rain.
Holding their cards close to the vest.
Close. Very close.
Keeping us guessing.
The question is,
What's their end game
what are they trying to achieve?
with all this silence?
Are they deliberately building this mystique?
Or are they just
Or are they just not ready?
not ready? Yeah.
Not ready to show their hand.
And how much of a factor is NetEase in all of this?
That's the big unknown.
It is.
I mean, they have a reputation for
You're
being
right. Amazon,
at
but
it.
with their studios.
But they've also published some really successful gotcha games.
Really successful.
So it's hard to say.
It's a mixed bag.
It is.
It really makes you wonder if maybe
some of those concerns
from the forums,
are valid.
are we looking at a situation where
Creative
is
vision,
being stifled by,
corporate interests?
or is Naked Rain pushing back? Trying to make sure Project Mugen is the game they want it to be.
Even with nitties.
Yeah, looming over.
Looming over them, exactly.
It's like a story.
It is, isn't it?
A story of creative freedom versus,
Corporate control. Will we get a game that breaks the mold?
or something safe
Something predictable?
that fits neatly into NetEase's portfolio.
We just don't know yet.
We don't, and that's what makes this so intriguing.
It really is.
We've got this game with all this potential.
a studio that's either incredibly secretive
Yeah.
or just not ready for prime time,
And then a powerful parent company
with a mixed reputation,
and a hungry competitor.
nipping at their heels.
It's like,
A pressure cooker.
it really is a pressure cooker of possibility.
And it all comes down to execution.
It does.
When Project Mugen finally emerges,
Yeah.
they're going to have to deliver on
Yeah.
those early promises.
That open world
It needs to be
That's
expansive and engaging.
and the combat
Satisfying.
and the gotcha system.
Oh, that's a big one.
It has to strike that balance.
Between fairness and profitability.
And the characters.
Oh, yes, they can't just be...
Collectible units.
Yeah, we need to connect with them.
We do.
We need to care about them.
Understand their motivations.
Yeah, their backstories, their relationships with each other.
It's about building a world that players want to inhabit.
A world that feels alive.
Alive and brimming with possibilities.
And that takes
Time and
iteration and refinement.
willingness
So
to
to take risks.
To take risks, yeah.
And maybe, just maybe,
Maybe.
that's what this silence means.
Maybe they're taking the time to get it right.
To create something truly special.
That's the optimistic view.
It is.
But the other possibility is,
Well, that they're struggling.
yeah, that they're
Second-guessing themselves.
the weight of,
Expectations
of all those expectations.
is crushing them.
And that brings us back to
NTE.
NTE.
They're not just a competitor.
They're a benchmark.
They're showing what's possible.
And if Project Mugen wants to succeed,
It can't just be good.
it has to
It's
be.
exception.
It has to be exceptional.
It has to offer something that NTE doesn't.
Like a unique,
Gameplay hook.
a compelling narrative.
A gotcha system that
This
feels
feels
rewarding.
Rewarding, not predatory.
Exactly.
Something that makes players say,
Yeah, this is why I waited.
this was worth the wait.
Exactly.
So the big question remains,
Does it?
will Project Mugen live up to the hype?
Will it?
Will it be a triumphant return?
Or a disappointing fizzle?
We've got one more part to this deep dive.
We do.
And in that final act,
Yes.
we're going to explore the future,
The future of Project Mugen.
what it needs to do to succeed.
And what might happen.
If it falls short.
Stay tuned.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
The hype, the silence, NTE.
Yeah, all the twists and turns.
Now it's time to
Put on our
speculative goggles.
speculative goggles.
And look ahead to the
Uh-oh.
future.
To the future of Project Mugen.
What's the best case scenario?
Right? What does Naked Rain have to do
To stick the landing.
to make this a success?
They've got a lot to prove.
They do, because remember that first trailer?
It wasn't just a trailer.
It was a promise.
A promise of something truly groundbreaking.
And players haven't forgotten that promise.
They're expecting
The
an
next level,
open world experience
something that pushes the boundaries of what we expect.
from a gacha game.
So we're talking
A world that feels
kind
alive.
of not just a,
Static backdrop
but a busy that breathes.
that reacts to the player.
Packed with things to do.
Yeah, things to discover.
A world that begs to be explored.
And they have to do all of that
Right.
while also seamlessly integrating
The gotcha mechanic.
the gacha mechanic.
Which is no easy feat.
It's not
Because we all know
the pitfalls,
the predatory monetization.
the power creep, the feeling that you're constantly,
The push to spend.
to spend money.
Stay competitive.
How can Project Mugen avoid those traps?
How can they create a gotcha system?
Yeah, that feels fair and rewarding.
And
Free-to-play players.
That's the key.
It is, and I think it comes down to
Transparency.
transparency.
They need to be upfront about
About the drop rates,
the pity
the
system.
overall economy of the game.
Players need to feel like they have a chance
A fair chance.
to get the characters they want.
Even if they don't spend money,
And the gameplay itself.
it has to be engaging.
Yeah. It can't feel like a grind.
It can't just be about
Just grinding.
for resources.
It's about respecting the players.
Absolutely.
Treating them like a community.
Not just wallets with legs.
And building that community
That's crucial.
is so important.
Naked Rain needs to foster that sense of belonging
Yeah. A place where players feel valued.
and heard.
Regular communication.
Engaging events.
Listening to feedback.
They've got a good foundation
They do.
with all that early hype.
But they need to nurture it.
Carefully.
So let's say they do all that.
Okay?
They nail the world, the gotcha system, the community.
Hypothetical.
What about the story?
The story.
The characters.
Right, those characters we saw in the trailer.
How important is that narrative element
To the overall
on
success.
Project Mugen?
Yeah. It's more important than people might think.
Really?
Gotcha games get a bad rap sometimes.
Yeah, people think they're
Shallow.
or repetitive.
But the best ones,
Yeah.
they weave these compelling narratives,
In the
gameplay archetypes,
or feat grand order.
deep lore, complex characters.
Stories that keep you invested.
Long after.
You've maxed out your favorite units.
It's not just about
Collect-
collecting powerful characters,
It's about connecting with them.
understanding their motivations,
Their backstories.
their relationships with each other.
And that's where Naked Rain has an opportunity
do.
to create something special.
With that world they've built,
That urban fantasy setting.
it's ripe with storytelling potential.
It really is.
And then there's
The competition.
that are out there
Setting a new bar.
for pre-release engagement.
How can Project Mugen differentiate itself?
What can they offer that NTE doesn't?
That's the question, isn't it?
It
A
is
unique selling point.
something that sets them apart.
Maybe it's the combat system.
Maybe it's
The
the
depth of the narrative.
or the way they integrate.
The gotcha mechanics.
And you need a reason.
To choose Project Mugen over NTE.
And it has to be more than.
Hype.
It has to be substance over style
It has to be a game
that delivers
on its promises.
and more.
A game that respects its players.
And rewards.
Their investment.
And most importantly,
It has to be fun.
it has to be fun to play.
Because at the end of the day,
That's what matters.
that's what keeps people coming back.
All the hype, the speculation, the analysis,
It all boils down to whether or
the
not...
game is actually good.
So Project Mugen is a wild card.
It is.
It has the potential to be amazing.
To be a game changer.
To redefine the gotcha genre.
But it could also
Yeah,
another victim of overhype.
And missed opportunities.
We've examined the evidence.
We've analyzed the trends.
We've speculated wildly about the future.
Now it's up to Naked Rain.
To prove us
Right or wrong.
the ball is in their court.
The clock is ticking.
And the world is watching.
And as for you, dear listener,
Keep those articles coming.
keep those forum discussions coming.
Keep digging, keep questioning.
Keep that critical eye sharp.
Because the world of gaming,
It is constantly evolving.
and it's up to all of us to navigate it.
With discernment and enthusiasm.
Until next time.
Happy gaming.